Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Davis, and the social issue that I will be talking to you about today is human trafficking. Now, human trafficking is a very, very broad subject. There are different directions that you can go with it, such as race or gender. The area that I will be talking about is as it pertains to foster care children. So, I chose to narrow it down to pertaining to foster care children because these children are easier targets for sex traffickers due to their being in need of love and affection, and these traffickers are profiting off of it. So, usually, what they'll do is they'll promise the child different things like a relationship or lure them in with expensive gifts. I know for some, they'll actually alienate the child from society and make it think that, their trafficker is the only one that has their best interests at heart or cares about them. And, I think with these instances, it's very important for a child to know at a young age that they're loved, even if there are things going on in their immediate families that's out of their control. Stuff that caused them to go into the foster care system with their own personal families in the first place. Now, usually when someone thinks of a foster child, they think of someone who doesn't have a family. Well, these traffickers are profiting off of that. So I wanted to give you guys a few stats about human trafficking in the foster care system. And if you see me looking up, it's just because I'm looking at my notes. I didn't memorize it. I'm sorry. So foster care children they actually have the highest rate of human trafficking, which is at an all-time high of 60% right now. The foster care children, 98% of all children who are identified as survivors had previous involvement in the child welfare system, and 30% of victims are actually under the age of 18. So I saw a clip. I don't know how I thought this was. So I'll just turn this around. So here you see it says, I know I previously said 60%, but I saw something online that says 67% of sex trafficking victims are from foster care or social services. Actually, 70 children who enter the foster care system every day, they come from California. So when you think about it, that gives a sex trafficker 70 more victims, possible victims that they can have. I also saw a couple of things online I wanted to share with you guys. Here is all the people that they were able to catch in trafficking. And I wanted to show you that these are different faces, different races of people. Like, no one looks the same. So that's something to be very alarming. Like, it's not all just like one specific person. It's different people. And I also wanted to share with you that there are actually teenagers involved in sex trafficking, like actually promoting sex trafficking, if you can say. So there was these two teenagers that were caught sex trafficking younger girls. And I know, like, when I found that out, I was kind of alarmed because I'm thinking these are all just adults. No, they're teenagers doing that too. So then you have the question of why these foster care children are agreeing to be involved in sex trafficking. Coming from the residential, like, group home aspect of it, a lot of foster care kids who are in residential settings, they feel that they don't have control over their lives. Like, they can't go where they want to go and do what they want to do. They're always being under surveillance 24 hours a day. They can't have drugs or alcohol. Some of them may be going through withdrawals depending on what, their drug of choice is or alcohol of choice. For girls, they can't buy new clothes or get their hair or nails done. And I know with adolescents, that can be a huge issue with your self-esteem when you don't like the way your hair looks or your nails look, and that can drop your self-esteem if you're not able to get your hair done and look and feel good about yourself. And most of them just don't like being in a group home setting. They don't like being in a room full of girls and not being home with their families. So it can bring a form of depression. And these traffickers are profiting off of this. They have control over their victims. They allow them to go out to parties and be out late at night. Traffickers give them the drugs and alcohol. They let them wear clothes, get new clothes, get their hair and nails done, and they let them come live with them. And like I said, they don't like a lot of people don't like being in a residential setting, which is understandable. So they want to go live with their traffickers. That can be a plus for them. Now, when it comes to the common mechanism of oppression, I did locate a few common mechanisms of oppression that I was able to link to human trafficking. So, get my notes out, sorry. The few that I see linked to the social problem is I saw the defined, normed, and the other. Now, initially I didn't see how human trafficking can be linked to these mechanisms, but when you think about it, on one side, you have a defined norm where you have children who are able to live their happy lives with their families and have all these privileges and do what they want. And on the other side, you have these traffic victims, and being with their traffickers is actually the norm for them. It may not be for everybody else, but it's the norm. It's what came as the norm for them. So a defined norm is described as the standard of what's good and what's right. Well, to these victims, being with their traffickers is what's good and what's right for them. While the other common mechanism of oppression, they view it as abnormal or marginalized, as you can say it. So another common mechanism would be invisibility. The traffickers keep their victims' existence in everyday life unknown to the public, and it makes it easier for them to control their victims when there's not a lot of outside eyes looking into their business and what they're doing with their victims. And then you have those victims who are ready to fight back against their traffickers and regain control of their lives. When this happens, the common mechanism of violence and threat of violence is used by the trafficker. They try to remain and regain their control and their power over their victims, if you can say it like that. A lot of times they'll blackmail their victims, threaten to kill their victims, or even their family, those that they love, those that are close to them. Another thing is the victims, they're being afraid that they'll go to jail for the sexual activity that they were forced to perform. And, that can bring us to a whole new issue of child prostitution laws where, currently advocates are pushing for children not to be punished for soliciting or engaging in prostitution. This can be controversial as it can be viewed as someone giving permission for a child to engage in sexual activity, but it's actually a safety net for sex trafficking victims like these children. So a couple of ways that we can prevent child trafficking is simply telling our children that we love them and that they just mean so much to us. We care so much about them. These children are actually being lured because they're trying to find love somewhere because they're not receiving it at home. Now, I know a lot of these foster children find themselves in a group or residential home, but the staff at these group homes could also assist with the child's self-esteem, letting them know that they matter a great deal to them. Also, I think we all need to educate ourselves and know the signs of human trafficking. I recall last year I sat through a human trafficking seminar, and the presenter told us a lot of times that the victims are actually branded. So either they'll have their trafficker's name tattooed on them, like a symbol of identification, or they'll even have a flat-out barcode. So I was able to find a couple of examples online. So here is a example of a girl with a branded barcode. This girl just flat out has her trafficker's initials. And I've seen this tattoo multiple times on people, and I was on the impression that it was like a loved one or deceased one, but these are actually branded tattoos. And this girl actually has her traffickers. I don't know if you can see it. says Ricky right on her lip. So a lot of times, like, these branded tattoos are not on the outside of their body. It can be on the inside too. All right, I know I'm hitting the mark. Let me hurry up. A few other signs is signs of depression, unexplained cuts or bruises, being in a relationship where the other person is dominating, not being in charge of their own finances, being afraid of law enforcement or someone trying to, help them and receiving help from someone else. They're not receptive to that. So if you know anyone or you suspect someone's a child or anyone is a victim of human trafficking, there is a human trafficking resource center hotline. It's 1-888-373-7888 that you can dial. It's open 24 hours, and of course you can dial 911 as well. It's important to raise awareness that this is going on because some people don't even know that this exists. So it's very important for everyone to know. So I hope I was able to give everyone understanding of the importance of human trafficking as it pertains to foster care children and children all over. This isn't just a foster care child problem. This is for children all over. And I hope you was able to learn something from this presentation. Thank you.